Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I really wanted to do a sit down video with you guys and kind of go over some things that I have to have in my room decor wise, and also just kind of just feel wise, if you know what I mean. But if you do follow me on Instagram, which you should go follow me on Instagram. If you don't go into my bios or not my bios, my descriptions on each of my videos, I do have, my Instagram down there. But if you did not see, I went into the hospital a couple of days ago because I decided to swallow a big chunk of watermelon and I was choking, and that's kind of why my voice sounds a little deeper. I feel like it sounds like really deeper today. Also because I just woke up less than 45 minutes ago, but so yeah, I had to go into the I think it's the ER. Yeah, ER. And they had to do surgery and to get the watermelon out because there's a piece stuck in there. But I am fine now. I am so happy that it's finally out because it was probably one of the hardest pains I've ever had to go through. It hurt so bad, I couldn't even really breathe that well. I couldn't really swallow anything, and it really just sucked. So yeah, that's, if I do sound a little weird, that's kind of the reason. But yeah. Also, another good thing is I finally got a mic. I just got this cheaper one on Amazon, so I hope it doesn't sound super terrible. But yeah, it's kind of just a normal mic, nothing that special, and it's on one of my paintbrushes because I can't really clip it to my shirt without it sounding very muffly. So yeah, but here we go. I'm just gonna be talking about some things that I really like in a space, and if it's a home, a room, or really just in any building. And so, especially when I'm going to be decorating it, these are the things that I really like to have in that room. So the first one that I do have, also, I do always have notes when I do these sit down type of videos. I always like to just have my notebook right here so then I can just read them without having to memorize everything. And also, what do we think about the new shirt? I just got this shirt a couple of days ago at an estate sale, and I really like it. Anyways, off track. But the first one is living something. So that is plants, animals, and even rocks. I literally put that in my notes. And basically what I mean is that, as you could tell in the background, there's a lot of living things I do have, like this calla lily, these flowers that are wilting, and this phalaenopsis orchid. And what I mean by that, and again, I will, in this area over here, editing Daniel, I'm going to put a photo of basically everything that I'm talking about, each segment or each thing that I'm talking about, so you guys kind of get what I'm talking about. But so yeah, but plants, if you're really into plants, or if you're not into plants, just find a plant that is really easy, even if it's just a succulent, and just put that in your space. And I can tell you right now, putting that in your space can definitely make the atmosphere calm. And if you don't want to take care of plants or animals, have a bouquet of flowers that you just got to put water in and watch them look beautiful. And that really just opens up the space, and I feel like it kind of just it brings the outdoors indoors, but not in a way that's letting pigeons and rats and then and just that even goes for furniture, you know um just having wood furniture, or having just it really does matter, though. It really does matter. I feel like when I go into a place that doesn't have something living, like plants or flowers or animals, or like I said, even rocks, it tends to feel very I don't even know what you would call it. It's very just, I don't know, boring, I guess you can say, and stale. And yeah, I'm just not a big fan of when someone doesn't really have any of these things. So yeah, I really like when there's something that's living. So my stepmom is cleaning right now, so if it's a little loud in the background, just know that's the reason. But anyways, so the second one that I do have is open windows, and this tends to kind of go with the first one with living things. I really love when there is a window open. Also, you can also put this in like the category of having, having a fan on, or having, just something that is like that is bringing like wind, not wind, but it's like airflow. It's bringing airflow through your room, through your house. And I really hate when someone doesn't have, their window open. Now, I get if it's like 105 degrees as it is right now. Like I get that if it's over 100 degrees and you guys have the air conditioner on. Like we do that, me and my family, we do that towards the, middle of the day. That's totally fine, it's whatever. But in the mornings when it's, low 80s or not 70s, but, low 80s, and just have the windows open, have the fans going, it really does. Like right now, I feel like my fan's on right now. My window's not, just because there's people working outside and I don't want them in the background. But, it definitely does change the atmosphere when you have some airflow. And then I would say the third one is pops of color. Now, I believe last time in my last video I was talking about it when I was putting together when I was framing up one of my art pieces, and I was talking about how I really love how a room is very natural, or it's very like neutral colors, or like boring beige, but it also has pops of color. Just like, that's why I really wanted to sit in this corner, just because this corner, I think it's cute. I think it's a cute little corner. Also, it kind of, shows what I'm talking about with like living things, with, wood furniture, with, we're going to be talking about lighting with pops of color like this blue and this pink, but it's not taking over the whole entire thing. It still looks very natural, very calm, but it's not overpowering it. But I really am not just a fan of when people just have a house that has no color in it. And I really just am not a big fan of that, when someone is just like every single thing is brown, or every single thing is gray or white or black. And it's like, let's get some color in here. Put a little red, put a little orange. Like, that's with me. I'm not a big fan of, I would say my least favorite color is neon pink. But I do have a flower arrangement that's wilting right now, so I'm not going to show you. But I do have a flower arrangement that is mostly neon pinkish, but it looks really good just because around it, it's being circled by, wood and black and dark green. And so it's not really, it's like a little pop, but it's not like over poppy, you know what I mean? So yeah, but I would say pops of color. I really like the pops of color that I wrote down are red, blue, green, and pink, just because I feel like those colors really they pop out in a way that is like natural, and it looks really settled, and it's not like crazy. So yeah, but I would say that's my third one. So the fourth one, I have always kind of struggled with decor and all that, and that is minimal on the walls. I am not a big fan of, personally, I'm not a big fan of when someone has cluttered walls. Now, I know in the background I can't really say anything, but I do have a picture of a pear right here, and then on top of there I have like a folk art, and then I can't really go up that well, but and then over here I have another painting that I did. But you know what I mean. Like, I'm not a big fan. Again, I'll put some photos of ones I don't like and some that I do. But I'm not a big fan of when people clutter their walls. Now, if you like that, that's whatever. but I'm not a big fan of that. And so in my room, or my area, my spaces, I really like to have, a couple photos on a wall, a couple knickknacks on a wall. It's not super crazy. Same as that thing goes with like furniture. I have a lot of furniture in my room, and that's why I moved my desk. I moved my desk in this corner is because, if you guys remember, it was actually in front of my window that's all the way over there. But I moved into this corner just because I felt like I couldn't even look at my window, just because I felt like it was so overwhelming, because there was so much furniture going on in that one wall that I wanted to move it. Now over there I do have a shelf that is holding up a couple of my kokedamas and my bromeliad, but I am going to sometime soon put a shelf over there, but for now there's just a little table. But yeah, so I really am not a big fan of a wall that has so much clutter on it where you can't even see the wall itself. I really like when there's a couple photos on there, or even no photos. But like I said, I'm not a big fan of when it's all just paper and clutter. So the fifth one that I do have is more of the lighting in a room. Now, as you can tell, I have talked about my my light bulbs that I got. These are all grow lights. I have one that's right behind camera, and then this one right here. These both are grow lights, because obviously this orchid would not be alive if it was not a grow light. But I really am not a big fan of when a room, because I know if you guys follow me, or not follow me, if you guys have subscribed and you guys have been following along for a while, you guys know I'm always yapping about my old pink grow lights. But I am just not a big fan when someone has moody, like too moody lights. I love when an area is very moody. I would say even with these lights at nighttime, they're pretty moody. But when it's like neon blue and neon pink and neon, just all these neon colors, I feel like it's very overwhelming, and I feel like we're in a disco when I walk into my room. And that's why I just got these very cheap. Like, I think I paid like $7 on Amazon for both of them, and they just work perfectly. But yeah, I would say very calm. I wrote down a calm light source, and that's really much all I can say about it. And one thing I know, like I feel like everybody talks about this when they're like an interior designer, or at least they care about their interior design. They always talk about how you never use the overhead light, and that is so real. I never, and I mean I never, turn on my overhead light. I think the last time I turned it on was maybe sometime last year, just because it is so hideous and it makes my room feel like just grimy. I don't know. It makes my room feel grimy. So, but when I turn on these two lamps, I feel like I'm like in a home, and it's very calm and it's very cute. So, but yeah, I would definitely say a calming light source. So for the sixth one, I feel like people, especially people that read books, are probably going to be kind of upset about this. And this one I do a lot. But the sixth one is books, even if you don't read books. I totally believe that if you have books in your house, that it makes you look so much smarter than you are. Now, I know, like I said, I already know people are going to be so upset because that just sounds kind of dumb, but it's true. I have some books down, you can't see them at all, but down here on the little shelf that I have under here, I have a couple of books, and then I have some books laying around my room. And I read them sometimes. Like, I've been really into this houseplant book that I have. Um, and then I read, I have a lot of art history books and all that, and I read those sometimes. But I could tell you right now that having a bookshelf and filling it up with books just makes you look kind of nicer and cleaner, especially if you have them kind of like in a nice little bookshelf or laying on the ground in like a really cute way. It makes you look smarter, and I feel like it just makes you look, I don't know, like, especially if you have a little book nook, like, that is so cute. I I can't really call myself a reader just because, like I said, I'm not like reading a book every single day. I try to read a little bit before bed, but I tend to just want to wrap up in my blanket and go on my phone and watch Instagram reels, which I know I gotta change. But yeah, I would say books. Even if you don't read books, I really think that books just really make a room just look really outstanding, and I really like when somebody has books in their room. So the seventh one is texture, and what I mean by that is even if it doesn't really have like texture, but if it looks like it has texture. So, like your bedding. When I wrote these down. I wrote these down like last night, so some of these I might not really be able to really explain that well. But what I mean by texture is just like, just something that has a little texture to it. Like, wood. Put some wood that has some texture. Um, you know what I mean. Like fabrics, and I think I talk a little bit about fabrics. I don't. But, have fabric. Have some curtains, have different textures around your house. Even if, with plant pots, have some textured plant pots. Just have some texture. And this one also kind of wraps around our eighth one, which I'm gonna put in its own segment. But yeah, definitely have some texture. Definitely have some texture in a room. So, like I said, number 7 kind of goes along with number 8, and that is patterns. For number 8 is patterns. I am a big fan of patterns. Lately, I've been really into the normal, like stripe, like stripes. I will put some photos of what I mean. And if you follow me on Instagram, on my art account, and on my plant account, I like to use a lot of the stripes for my backgrounds on my stories. But I am just a big fan of patterns. I don't know why. I think I'm trying to find if I have any pattern. And of course, these pots, they have patterns. But I'm just a really big fan. I will put some photos of some things that I have in my room that are patterned. And yeah, but I believe that patterns really just make a room look clean. Of course, if you have a lot of patterns, then I feel like it tends to start looking like a 70s. Because I believe in the 70s, I could be wrong, but I believe in the 70s, the 60s and 70s I believe that's when patterns are really big. But when you just have patterns around your room, it definitely just gives your room character, and it gives your house character. I feel like I keep on mentioning rooms when this is for houses and for just really any area, apartments, houses, just any building that you live in and that you can decorate the way you want. That's what I'm kind of talking about. But yeah, I would definitely say textures and patterns are my 7th and 8th one, just because they both go together so well and you definitely need them. So the 9th one, which is the second to last one, is have culture in your room. And what I mean with culture in your room is just have something that's not really part of your culture and do your research on it. Like with me, I have a lot of, I believe it's Japanese culture. Like with my plants, I have kokodamas, which come from Japan. I have, pots that have, Japanese calligraphy, I think it is. I don't know. I talking about research. I actually need to do some more research. But I'm part Irish and I'm part, I have German. I have, just have some culture in your room and have some, don't disrespect it, but just have some culture in your room that you've done research on and that you know of, and just add that to your room. And I can tell you right now, it can make, same as that thing with books, it makes you look like it just gives your room kind of I don't know, it makes it look smarter. I don't know, I don't really know what else, what other word to use besides smarter, but it just makes you look smarter. It makes your room look a little more welcoming, to other people. And yeah, I would say definitely have some culture in your room, but I can also say, like, disclaimer on this one, you know, don't disrespect the culture, just add it to your room and actually do your research, which I need to do some more research on some of the culture related things that I do have in my room, and have them in your room. And yeah, I would say definitely add some culture into your room. So the 10th one that I do have is weird shapes and art. So what I mean by this is, have some contemporary art. And if you don't know what contemporary art is, I will put some photos of what contemporary art is. But just have like art that you like, but then also kind of just doesn't even look like art, Like even plants can be, contemporary art, just because some plants, like this calla lily that broke one of its stems. To me it still looks fine, but some people it might look very weird and they would think, why don't you just cut that leaf off or stem off? But just have some weird art. And I could say like weird art is kind of like up here, you can't really see it, but this pear that I have up here, it is literally just a pear. There is nothing else on it. It's just a pear. And I picked it up in San Diego a while back. And I really love it. It's actually one of my favorite paintings I have in my room. And some people could just be like, that's just a pear though. What's so special about a pear? But to me, I feel like I'm that one meme where it's like a SpongeBob and he
Just a stupid boulder!
It's not just a boulder! It's a rock! A rock!
It's not a rock, it's a boulder or something like that. I don't know, I'll put it up on the screen. But yeah, I feel like that right now. But when I was studying a lot of art history a couple months ago, I learned a lot about contemporary art. And contemporary art is probably one of my most, I would say I love contemporary art more than a lot of the art that I do have in my room. And I just really love when a room has just this kind of weird art, and in school I've been really looking out for, I don't really want any sculptures in my room, but I love when people have like these gothic sculptures in their room. Like, I don't know why, but they are just so beautiful. And just have some weird shapes in your room, like some weird, you know, some weird chairs, weird, just have some weird in your room. Just all together, just have some weird art in your room. Yeah, just have some weird art. Okay, well, that is all for this video. I want to say, I'm sorry if this video is all over the place. I feel like I was saying a lot of filler words. I've been really working on it a lot, especially with recording, kind of taking like the word and like and the word and out of a lot of my sentences, just because I say them a lot. And I really just need to kind of take those words out. So I've been I've been working on it, and hopefully I can start a sentence without saying or like or and. So yes. Anyways, so I think we're going to end it here. And I thank you guys I thank you guys so much for coming along on this little video with me. And yeah, if you really love planty videos, vlog videos, everyday videos, give me a follow or subscribe. I always want to say give me a follow, but subscribe if you want. Again, you don't have to, but if you want to, that would be awesome. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.